Moment of silence for the champions, for those who make going hard a lifestyle. Never wait for nothing, gotta get it right now.
What's up, Packer fans? Welcome back to Cheesehead Talk. It's your boy Tremel, coming back with another video of training camp battles. And in this video, I'm going to discuss who's going to be the Green Bay Packers' number 2 receiver. Will it be Geronimo Allison, or will it be Marquez Valdes-Scantling? And also, the Packers currently have 11 wide receivers on their depth chart. So how many of these receivers will they keep on their 53-man roster? Will it be 7 wide receivers, or will it be 8? Which of these guys will be cut from this Green Bay Packers team? And so far, I believe there are 4 locks at the wide receiver depth chart for the Green Bay Packers. Those guys are Davante Adams, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Geronimo Allison, and Equanimeous St. Brown. I believe those 4 guys have a guaranteed spot on this Packers roster. And there are 7 guys who I don't believe to have a guaranteed spot on the roster. And those guys are Jake Kumerow, Jamon Moore, Trevor Davis, Alan Lazard, Jaleel Davis, Darius Shepherd, and T.O. Redding. Those are the 7 guys who I don't think have a guaranteed spot. And I believe they're all battling it out at training camp and in the preseason to get on this 53-man roster. So which of these guys will be cut from the Green Bay Packers? I believe at least 3 or 4 will be cut. So who will it be? Let's talk about it. But first, let's start with the battle for the number 2 receiver spot. Let's talk about Geronimo Allison. Geronimo Allison was the Packers' number 2 receiver last season. He played in only 5 games due to a groin injury, and he only started in 4 games. And before the injury, he had 20 catches for 303 yards and 2 touchdowns. And what I saw from Geronimo Allison last season was he definitely belongs in this league. He stepped up huge for the Green Bay Packers last season as the number 2 option, and he really showed he could be a solid number 2 option. And I believe if it wasn't for the injury, he would have had 1,000 yards. I believe he and Davante Adams both would have had over 1,000 yards, and he possibly could have had double-digit touchdowns as well. He made a lot of big plays for the Packers, and both of his touchdown passes were big plays. He had a 39-yard touchdown against the Chicago Bears, and he had a 64-yard touchdown against the Washington Redskins. So he really showed he could be a solid number 2 option for the Green Bay Packers. But he's going to have some competition at that spot with Marquez Valdes-Scantling. And I say that because Marquez Valdes-Scantling is up and coming now. He's entering his 2nd season, and he's got his rookie year under his belt. And he showed a lot of flashes last season in his rookie year. He stepped up as the number 2 receiver last season when Geronimo Allison went down. He had 38 catches for 581 yards and 2 touchdowns. And if you watch my video I made a couple of weeks ago about the 4 Green Bay Packer players who are going to have breakout seasons, Marquez Valdes-Scantling was one of the guys I named. And I named him because we have a new head coach in Matt LaFleur, a new offensive coordinator in Nathaniel Hackett. We have a new offensive scheme, a new offensive identity. No more stale play calling, no more stagnant offense. We have a new identity on the offensive side of the football, and I believe that's going to help Marquez Valdes-Scantling a ton. And I think he's going to be the number 2 receiver to start the 2019 season. I wouldn't be mad if it's Geronimo Allison because Geronimo Allison is a hell of a player as well. They're both very solid number 2 options. So whoever wins it, I wouldn't be upset with it. But I believe Valdes-Scantling will be a number 2 option for the Green Bay Packers. Now let's talk about the 7 guys who I don't think have a guaranteed spot on this Packers roster. Let's start with Jake Kumerow. Jake Kumerow was very, very close to being a lock for me on this Packers roster. I don't think he's a lock just yet, but he's very close. And he's a fan favorite. All the Green Bay Packer fans love Jake Kumerow, and he's killing it at training camp in 2019. He's having an excellent training camp. He's got a lot of high praise from a lot of people, reporters, Aaron Rodgers, Matt LaFleur. They all have great things to say about him. And he was the preseason star last season for the Green Bay Packers. He only played in 2 preseason games, and he had 6 catches for 190 yards and 2 touchdowns. And both of his touchdowns were big plays. He had an 82-yard touchdown in one game, and another game, I believe his touchdown was over 50 yards. So he made a lot of big plays in the preseason last season. And he also got to see a little bit of time in the regular season as well. He had 8 catches for 103 yards, and 1 touchdown. And he had a big game against the Jets in that Week 16 match. He had 6 catches for 69 yards, and he also had a touchdown. So I believe Jay Kumerow will make this 53-man roster, and he just has to stay healthy. I believe if he stays healthy, he'll be perfectly fine, and he'll possibly be the 4th or the 5th option on this Packers receiver depth chart. Let's move on to J'Mon Moore. J'Mon Moore is a guy who struggles with drops. He struggled last training camp. He struggled last preseason with drops, and the struggles continue. He's a guy who struggled with drops since his college days, and they just continue to happen. He just continues to drop the football, and he has so much potential. So much potential. He's a Devontae Adams 2.0 in my opinion. He's a very good route runner. And if he can get rid of those drops, he could be a very solid player in this league. But he continues to struggle with drops, and that's killing him. And I believe if he can't fix that in the preseason, he could be possibly cut from this Green Bay Packers team in his second season. So I believe J'Mon Moore is on the bubble to make this Green Bay Packers team. We'll see what happens in the preseason. Let's move on to Trevor Davis. Trevor Davis is a guy who's pretty much battled injuries most of his career. He only played in 11 games in 2016 in his rookie year. 2017 is the only season where he played in all 16 games. And in 2018, his season was cut very short. He only played in 2 games that season. And he's a guy with great speed. He ran a 4.42 at the Combine in 2016. And he's pretty much made this team for being a good kick returner and a good punt returner. He really hasn't had any competition at that position over the last 2 seasons, but he's going to have some competition at that this coming season. But he's returned 35 kicks for 791 yards and 37 punts for 448 yards. And he's seen just a little bit of time on the field as a wide receiver. He's got 8 career catches for 94 yards and a touchdown. And he really hasn't got much playing time at the wide receiver position. But he's looking to make that change in the 2019 season. He's having a very good training camp at the wide receiver position this year in 2019. And I feel like that's a bonus for him because he's already a good kick returner and a good punt returner. And if he can make plays at the wide receiver position, that's a huge piece for the Green Bay Packers. So I believe Trevor Davis will make this 53-man roster. Moving on to Alan Lazard. Alan Lazard is a 6'5", 227-pound wide receiver, and he was signed by the Green Bay Packers as an undrafted free agent in the 2018 season in December. He spent most of the 2018 season with the Jacksonville Jaguars on their practice squad, and he got a little bit of playing time with the Packers. He got to play in that Week 17 game against the Detroit Lions. He had 1 catch for 7 yards. And now he's coming into his second season, and he spent his college career at Iowa State. He holds their school record for the most career catches. He had 241 catches, 3,360 yards, and he made first team All Big 12 in 2016 and in 2017. And the reason why he went undrafted was because drop passes. Just like J'Mon Moore, he struggles with drop passes. He struggled with a lot of drops in college. And another reason scouts say he was undrafted was because his lack of speed. He only ran a 4.62 at the Combine, so he lacks a little bit of speed. And the biggest reason why he was undrafted is because lack of toughness. He doesn't play with enough toughness for a guy who is 6'5", 227 pounds. And I believe Alan Lazard is going to have to fix those flaws if he wants to make this Packers team. I think it's going to be pretty hard for him to make this team. He's going to have to stand out in the preseason if he wants to make this Packers team. I do think the Packers will cut him in the preseason, but we'll see if he can make it. Moving on to Jaleel Davis. Jaleel Davis is 6'1". He's 190 pounds, and he's a wide receiver who signed as an undrafted free agent in 2018. He went to Bethune-Cookman, a HBCU located in Florida, and he got to play a little bit with the Giants last season. He played in 7 games. He had 4 catches for 40 yards. And he's also a guy who has versatility. He returned 12 punts last season for 89 yards. And he also returned 7 kickoffs for 171 yards. And his season was ended kind of short last season. He was placed on injured reserve after Week 16. So his season ended a little bit early. And I think it's going to be a long shot for him to make this team as well, because we already have guys like Trevor Davis, Corey Grant, who do the same things as him. We have Corey Grant, who can return punts, return kickoffs. Trevor Davis can return punts. He can return kickoffs as well. And I feel like they have a bigger role on this team than what he would have. I believe Corey Grant will have a bigger role at the running back position if he makes the 53-man roster. And I believe Trevor Davis will have a bigger impact at the wide receiver position if he makes this 53-man roster. So I think it's just guys ahead of him who will have a bigger impact than what he'll have. I don't think he'll make this team. I think the Green Bay Packers will cut him. Moving on to Darius Shepherd. Darius Shepherd was signed by the Green Bay Packers in May of 2019. He spent his college career at North Dakota State, where he had 188 career catches, 2,841 yards, and 20 touchdowns. And he's also a guy who has some versatility. In college, he rushed for 31 times for 219 yards, and he also returned 44 punts for 578 yards. And just like Jaleel Davis, I think it's going to be a long shot for Darius Shepherd to make this Green Bay Packers roster. I think it's going to be tough for him because we have so much talent at the wide receiver position. So I think the Green Bay Packers will cut him as well. Moving on to T.O. Redding. T.O. Redding is a 6'1", 176-pound wide receiver. He's kind of small. He signed with the Detroit Lions as an undrafted free agent, and he was released after the preseason. He signed with the Green Bay Packers practice squad in November of 2018, and he spent his college career at Bowling Green State University in Ohio, a small university located in Ohio. And he had 94 career catches for 1,328 yards and 14 touchdowns. And I think it's going to be a long shot for T.O. Redding to make this team as well. I do believe the Green Bay Packers will cut him as well. I believe he'll be the first receiver to get cut from this Green Bay Packers team. But let me know what you all think in the comment section. Who's going to be the Green Bay Packers' number 2 receiver? And also, which one of these wide receivers will be cut? And how many of these receivers will the Green Bay Packers keep? Let me know in the comment section. Share the video. Leave a like. Subscribe to the channel. And go Pack Go.